Welcome to the True Grime Stories podcast, where in every episode, we'll unravel a new mystery of cleaning business transformation from a grimy mess to a great success. Join me, your host, Jeannie Henderson, as together we dig up cleaning business secrets that you've been dying to know. Hello, everyone in the residential cleaning industry. Welcome to another episode of True Grime Stories. I'm your host, Jeannie Henderson, and I am so glad and overjoyed to have my friend, Emma Arzate, here with me today to talk about her cleaning business and share her True Grime story with you about how she started, but then also how she created this great business. So Emma runs detail cleaning services in Houston, Texas, with her brother, Eno, who's also an amazing entrepreneur. And they have a team of over 50 employees, and they've been in operation for over 15 years. And so Emma has a lot to share with us today. Emma has gone on to become a coach to many other entrepreneurs in the residential cleaning industry. So later on in our interview today, we'll talk about some of the great things that she's been doing to help other cleaning business owners grow their business. But she has built one of the top rated maid services in the country. So buckle up, get your notepad out, because there are going to be some great tips that you're going to get today, I'm sure. So welcome, Emma. We're so glad to have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much, Jeannie. That was an amazing introduction. I feel flattered. Thank you. Thank you for having me and for the opportunity to just talk about the story and maybe teach somebody something that they can just run away with and help their company grow.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. That's what we're here for at True Grime Stories. And we were talking about before we started recording today how every single one of us at some point had a challenge that we had to overcome. We got stuck in our own grime scene. So I know I certainly did. And it took me a lot to climb out of it. And I think that's what inspired me to want to create this podcast, because I think a lot of people get stuck and they think that they'll never be able to figure it out. But if you and I did, we can help other people do that. So Emma, think back when you were first starting out, what one of the grime scenes are. And most of us have more than one grime scene in our past, right? But one of the grime scenes that you had that was, maybe at the time you thought it was insurmountable, but you figured out your way out of it. Where were you at? What were you feeling like? What was going on in your business and in your life?
Yeah. So see, I started my company sort of by accident. My mom always had the vision of owning a business, but she just felt like she didn't have it in her. Right. So I was in college and she asked me, hey, could you help me answer phone calls? And I did that. I did that for 2 years for free, no payment or whatsoever. But right 3 months in, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I decided we're going to do this. We're going to register the business. And I was like, and we hire a couple people and, we'll get it going. Well, realized that I fell in love with it. Right. But then I felt like there wasn't enough money. I kept, just answering phone calls, had a full-time job and in college. And I was like, geez, I don't think this is going to take off. Right. And then I decided to just give it my all. I was like, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to just focus on it and make the best out of it. Because I figured this is the way this is her one in a life chance to build a business that she's always dreamed of, right? And if I don't support her, I don't know if she's going to be able to, because we come from a very humble background. So she didn't know anything. Her English wasn't her thing. So I was like, it depended on me to make her dream come true. But I realized I fell in love with it. And I was like, if she thinks she can do it with her level of education, I think then I had to believe that I can do it, at least for her. And that's kind of how it started. I mean, I used to walk blocks with her, just passing out business cards. I would get the phone calls from the mail guy. Hey, what are you doing? That's illegal. You gotta pay for it. So I would
I'll put it in the mailbox. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So and then I had to stop. But I did it for my mom. But I feel like I look back and say it was so worth it. It was so worth it to go through that things, because then any challenge that you face, you just keep pushing forward and keep pushing forward. So I'm always happy to tell my story, how I just started by accident.
Yeah. And really, you were starting from zero there with your mom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is no such thing as an overnight success, everyone. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes making mistakes and starting over. All of that is part of entrepreneurship. So as you started to build this business, what was like one of the big challenges that you found that was insurmountable, but then you found your way out of it? But what was that challenge?
Was basically trying to figure out if this is what I want to do, and can I do it, right? So, our word of 2025 is opportunity for and I, and that's kind of what we're talking about, because it all started with me creating an opportunity for my mom and her giving me an opportunity for me to start a business without. I didn't have the passion and I didn't have the drive at the time, but I felt like if she believed in me, I can believe in myself. And then Eno came around and he was in the military and he needed a job. So we offered him an opportunity to join, and that just took it to another level. But it took it to a level where we were still stuck. We were in business for 10 years and we felt like we were just running in circles.
How big was your business at that point when you got stuck?
We had about 20 technicians.
Okay.
But, we were hitting right under, I think, around 800,000 in revenue in a year, just give and take. But the profit was bad. And I didn't enjoy what I was doing. I feel like I was just showing up and doing it because I feel like the dependency on my, that I had in the business, my mom had dependency, and I feel like I just have to keep pushing forward. There's just no other way. So we're just going in circles, right? We were not growing, profits weren't good. And then, I would ask myself, like, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? Right.
I bet a few people out there have asked themselves that question more than once. Yeah, it's good for us to hear that you have felt that way too.
Yeah, I was in survival mode, basically. That's the way I call it, survival mode, just trying to survive, right? And, I was trying to figure out there's got to be a better way, right? There's got to be somebody I pay that could help me. And I attended this event. I think it was in Pennsylvania, and it was like it was a commercial event, but I didn't realize what it was. It was just like I found it online. I signed up, and I attended the event. And there was his name was Mark, and I attended the event. And I said, hey, I own a maid service. What you're teaching me is great, but it doesn't really apply for my industry, right? And he told me, you need to talk to Debbie Sardone.
Oh,
and I was like, Debbie Sardone. And anyways, I Googled her and I talked to her. Right. And we talked to her, and I still hesitated. I was like, I don't know if I want to invest money and not knowing if it's going to pay off or not. Right. I think that's a lot of our fears.
Yes.
And we even asked her, can we have a day to think about it? And and I tried to encourage people and tell the story about how amazing it was to realize, like, the question that we were asking each other was like, is it worth it? Right. But then we would go back.
You have to invest. If you want to have help from somebody, you have to make an investment. You have to take a risk.
Yeah. So we decided to do it. That's why we're here today.
Yeah.
And it was like the best decision ever. Right. But I mean, I think back and I realized how much fear there was, right? How much fear, uncertainty of, is the answer. And that was I feel like that was like my only hope to say, to what, because I was really starting to just dislike my business to a point where, I loved working with my employees, but I feel like they didn't enjoy working for me.
Yeah. Okay. And that's not a good feeling, right? That's a terrible feeling. And you mentioned that you weren't profitable. Here you are, you have an $800,000 business. You have 20 employees. You're not enjoying it. You're not sure they're enjoying it. You're not making the money that you would hope to make at that level of revenue, right?
Yep.
And so you took a big leap. I love it that you said it was your only hope. And I'm a huge Star Wars sci-fi fan. And I was actually just watching The Mandalorian last night. And, but there's a scene in the original Star Wars where Princess Leia says, help us, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope. Right. So Debbie Sardone, the Obi-Wan Kenobi of the cleaning industry, she has really helped so many people. All right. So you've come to that point where you're getting some help, but you shared that your grime story was really like your belief and your passion to kind of go forward. So how did you overcome that?
To me, it was more about, seeing others and seeing like, well, if they can do it, why, and my mom thinks I can do it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't even about because I'm her daughter. It's just she really put all her like hopes and like, okay, this is going to be it. This is what's going to be able to help achieve her dream of owning a home, which she never had in her life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And things like that. I was like, I can do it. Right. And also realizing that there's 20 employees that depending on us. Right. And knowing that if we gave up on being successful, we were going to give up on them too. Right. And
a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talking about moms, right? Most of our cleaners are women and they depended on us. So the pressure was real, right? At that time, he had switched his degree to business management, right? So he was going to college and he switched his degree. He wanted to be a history teacher. And I'm telling his story, but it's just such an amazing story.
Your stories are very interwoven, and someday we'll have Eno on here too. You guys are going to love Eno as well. He's an amazing powerhouse business owner as well. But yeah, so it's good to share his story too. Yeah.
So so it's like, we got to make it work. Right. And then speaking to somebody like Debbie, and she's like, I have the formula. Like, and the way she was just explaining it, it was by facts. It wasn't like her trying to convince me. And I'm a big believer that you want to learn from people that you would exchange places with in business. Mm-hmm. And I had searched her company up and I had searched her up and I was like, okay, she's got to be doing something right. Right. So that definitely inspired me to like, there's a way of doing it. I just got to believe in myself, change my mindset of whatever I was doing 10 years wasn't working, right? So I got to start by believing in myself. And the way you start believing in yourself is investing in yourself, right?
Yeah. So you were 10 years in. What year was this?
This was 2019.
Okay.
So yeah. So, the end of 2019. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are lots of people like that are, to describe it in a way that it feels is wandering in the desert of entrepreneurship, right? Like trying to figure it out, trying this and trying that and looking around and seeing what other people are doing and kind of emulating others. I love it that you went all the way to Pennsylvania to find someone who was in Texas.
Yes.
Because you're already there. So that was really good. Well, I love that, part of your challenge was you. Yeah. And for entrepreneurs, this is a real thing because the growth of our business is often limited by our ability to grow or change or learn or work hard, or give something up, all of those things. Sometimes our business is limited and our progress is limited just by the person that we're looking at in the mirror every day.
Yeah. Oh man, I can so relate to that. I mean, English is not my first language. So I used to be like, okay, am I good enough? Right? Is my English enough to be able to talk to people that want to come work with me or want to work for me? Right. Mm-hmm. So that was always a thing. Right. And I was like, well, there's a pattern in my cycle in my family, very poor beginnings. I mean, a family of 6 used to live in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. So having that, that mindset of like, well, I don't know if I'm going to be the one or we're going to be the ones to break that cycle. Right. So just, it was very hard. Right. It was very hard. But at the same time, I always thought, if my mom believes I can do it and others around me, the employee that said yes when we offered her the job, believed that I could provide a job for her, why should I limit myself? And my beliefs should limit myself for growing the company and the dream company that I always wanted. So
yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's so powerful what you just shared. I've talked to so many cleaning business owners who have said those same words, that am I able, am I worthy? A lot of people where English is their second language doubt their ability to communicate effectively. And I always say to people like, but I understand you just fine, but they feel, like you felt like that they weren't coming across professionally where, from my perspective, I think, wow, you sound amazing, but it has to be in here. You have to believe it. Well, let's pause here for just a second. You mentioned a little bit about Debbie Sardone and CBF. And so let's take a moment and share with our audience about CBF, our sponsor. After 9 incredible years, it's the grand finale of CBF Live. We're going out with a bang, and you don't want to miss it. Join CBF founder Debbie Sardone and hundreds of cleaning professionals for 3 game-changing days packed with insider strategies, powerful networking, and exclusive tools to take your business to the next level. This is your last chance before CBF Live is gone forever. Use my discount code in the show notes and save $100 on your ticket to CBF Live 2025. Well, welcome back, everyone, to True Grime Stories. I'm here today with Emma Arzate talking about her business, Detail Cleaning Services in Houston, Texas. And Emma's sharing a pretty personal story today, but I think it's one that many of us as entrepreneurs can relate to. So, Emma, I can't wait to dive a bit deeper and investigate your grime scene a little bit more and how you solved your, grime story. So, you were at the point where you realized, like, I'm going to have to change, right? I'm going to have a different mindset. So tell me, how did you achieve that? What are some of the things that you found helped you get that new mindset and that confidence and strength to build this amazing team of over 50 cleaning technicians that you have today?
Well, for one, it's embracing to keep growing, you got to keep learning, right? So I'm always investing in my learning, and I'm talking about not just as a leadership, but in myself as well. So self-development is a big thing. And, because I think that for us entrepreneurs, when we buy a course, when we buy a mentorship from a mentor, we're buying shortcuts, right? We're buying speed, right? It helps you go faster. And it does so much to you because not only does it impact you as a human being becoming a better leader. Like for me, I feel like I've become a better mom because I've invested in my leadership. And I think being a mom—
How many kids do you have again?
I have 4.
I wanted to bring up how many children you had because a lot of entrepreneurs have kids, young families as they get started. And a lot of times people say, oh, I'm a busy parent. I can't grow my business because I have 4 kids, or that kind of thing. But here you are, building this wonderful, very large cleaning business and, growing your family. And from what I understand, you have, great relationships with your family and you get to do lots of fun things together. So you can have both, but it takes a belief in that and a commitment to it. So, but going back to, investing in yourself, investing in your learning, what are some things, like, give me an example of, if you think back, like how you would have handled something 10 years ago to how you are handling it today.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so many I could give. I mean, for one, making sure that, when you're talking to your team, right, you understand their perspective of things. Like, what you never know what they're going through, right? Like, let's talk about a technician, for example. If you're talking to a technician and they could be having, complaint issues or so quality issues, maybe they're being late, right? So the way Emma used to lead used to be more like, well, she's just not trying hard enough, right? Or she's just, she doesn't care enough. But, after I invested in my learning, I realized that, people, as humans, we tend to bring, as much as we try to bring our personal relationships or things we have, problems we have at home to work, right? And if something's going on in your personal life, it just affects your work environment, right? So whenever we address something with the technician, it's always more like, how are you doing? How can we help you succeed? Versus like, this is what you're doing wrong. You don't care. And, that approach, which, you're not going to inspire or motivate anybody to want to work for you if that's going to be your approach, right? And I think that was a big change for me, changing my mindset of how to handle difficult conversations and how to get their buy-in to work for you, right? To want to be working in your company, right? To want to for a great service that we all want in our company. So I think that was one of the biggest ones, is changing my leadership styles, my communication styles, improving that with my team has been a big one.
Right. And we don't come out of the womb knowing how to do that. Right. Right. We actually probably almost always err to the side of becoming a boss instead of being a leader,
Yeah.
because we kind of follow the examples of the people who were our bosses in the past. And we think, well, that's how you do it. And, but that's such a beautiful thing. And I think I can only imagine how your team felt when they saw that shift in you. Like, wow, Emma really cares. This company really cares about me as an individual. I'm not just a number. I'm not just, a name on the schedule. They see me as a person.
Yeah, totally. And you keep and attract the better quality employees, right? Because people that want to be held accountable for what they do and how they work and you're cleaning your company, they usually care, right? They always care. And when you show that you care for them, well, guess what? They're going to care even more, right? To make sure they show up for work and they're reliable. So I think that's been a game changer. Our longest technician has been with us for 10 years. And so she's seen and she's talked about it, when we were, I was talking to her last time and she was just like, I'm so proud of you guys of the achievements that we've made, that you guys have made. And she's like, it's not that you guys were horrible at the beginning. It's just that just seeing how you guys adapt and change and grow, but yet still stay humble and still try to invest in our company and your employees. So it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's so cool. And, to have a technician that's been with you for 10 years, I mean, that's just great. My longest technician has been with me for 9 years and two, she has seen that, that evolution of, me going from being, scatterbrained and, sad and depressed, in my leadership to, being uplifting and helping to get the team excited about what we do and the impact that we make in people's lives and all that kind of stuff. It's a big shift. And so once you made that change, when you realize like, okay, it's me, a lot of times when we have problems, we always think it's them, but it clearly sounds like you realize it has to start with you, right? So once you realized it started with you, what was the progression of how your business started changing and taking off? What was that like? Because I can only imagine it was probably like a real roller coaster ride once you started figuring out how to make it work.
Yeah. Oh man, it was. There's always challenges. Like Debbie always says, there's a devil at every level. There's always challenges, but it was a big deal when we started seeing that. Technicians were like, I want to be part of this. I want to continue to grow. How do I continue to grow in your company? Right. Can I get further along? Right. And that was amazing. Right. And we started doing different things like offering leadership opportunities in our company and how do we make them better? One of our biggest dreams as we own our company was being able to provide benefits for them that is not common in our industry, like 401k, health insurance, PTO days off, being able for them to be off, their evenings and weekends, and being able to, slowly but surely, starting to implement that has been like, wow, we did it. Like it's a dream come true. Like, and being able to, our technicians, when we ask them, what are the things you love about working here? It's like, they talk about, oh, I get to enjoy time with my kids after school. I get to spend the weekends with them. It's like, wow, it's like we're not, everybody talks about giving the clients back their weekend, which I'm a true believer in that. But how about giving it to the technicians, right? The employees in our industries. That's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, and you hit on a really good point there is that as entrepreneurs, sometimes our focus is skewed toward the customer or the client. And we think that everything that we do has to talk to them. But it sounds like you discovered that the path to success actually starts inside your business, right? Working with your team.
Yes, for sure. If you invest in your employees, they'll be so bought into your company. They'll definitely want to take care of your clients.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, and the great thing about that is, and for those of you who are watching, is to keep an eye on Emma because she is changing our industry. She's helping to help other entrepreneurs learn and grow these same things that she has learned over the years and helping people build great businesses and great teams. And so the things that she's learned, Emma is passing on to others. And one of the ways that you've done that, Emma, you were sharing with me the kind of the automations that you're creating for your team. So it sounds like you've taken this new mindset that you have and put it into a platform, correct?
Yes. So I'm a big believer that, in order us to elevate, we got to innovate, right? And, we talked about how it's so important to invest in your people, and that's always going to be first. But it's also a bit important to adapt, right? When you think of Blockbuster, right? Those kind of companies that don't exist. I think part of the problem
Blockbuster
was that they kind of stayed in, they stayed in the past, right? So what we're doing is we created a SaaS company that helps our, business owners make sure that they're onboarding their employees correctly, right? So I'm a big believer that people need to be told once and reminded many times. And one of the biggest
write that down, everybody.
So I heard it from one of my friends, Eric, and he always says that to me, and it's so true because it's like, a lot of times we're so busy, and we have a field manager running the show where they're busy too. But we realize that we tell people one thing and one time and we expect them to remember, right? But that's a big mistake, right? Or we tell them 2 times. And also another mistake that we make as business owners is we think that everybody can communicate the same way, right? And everybody can learn the same way. So what we created is a way of different ways of training your employees, communicating your company policies, right? Safety practices, right? How to handle a complaint, all those kind of things that are very important that you don't just tell them once, right? You actually share, and in different ways, because some people learn better by reading something, right? An actual booklet. Others, learn better by watching a video and taking a quiz, right? I mean, if you think about society now, it spends a lot of time on TikTok and social media.
They want things in little video bites, right?
So that's pretty much what we built for other cleaning companies to be able to train their employees and onboard them successfully. Because once an employee stays with you past the 90 days, the chances of them staying you past a year increases by like 80%. Yeah. And that all has to do with the way you onboard them. It's like the dating period, the first 90 days. So you always want to make sure you're making sure that they feel belonged.
Right. And I love that you mentioned dating, and sorry to interrupt, but like the dating thing is so important for us to remember, because when we date or we make a new friend, what do? We are so focused on them. We want to learn everything about them, and we want to talk to them all the time. And we think about them all the time. But we don't naturally do that for our employees. We hire an employee, we train them for a week or 2 weeks, and then on to the next.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a big mistake for sure.
Yeah, it's a huge mistake because it's such a huge investment of time and energy. You got to really think about the early days of that relationship and how to create that bond between you and them, and you and them and your business. So, oh my gosh, I love that. So what do you call this program or platform that you've created?
So Outrank Automations, right? So it helps onboard employees so that, you don't stop selling the job once they say yes to your job offer. You got to keep making sure they feel belonged, right? Making sure that you show the career ladder in your company. What does it look like to grow in your company? All those things, communicating it in different ways. So Outrank Automations it's what we built with email.
That's so great. Yeah, I think that's going to help a ton of people. And then you have a new program that you and Eno have been working on, which I'm really excited about. And I think it's going to help a lot of people. And I'll let you tell a little bit about it. But I also think it's going to help our team members have a greater job experience as well. So tell us about the Customer Service Essential 4 that you're working on.
So Customer Service Essential 4 started in our company because we were having growth pains, right? Growing pains. And
what did your growing pains look like? Oh, you're going to tell me. Okay.
Yeah. So what does that mean? Attrition, right? Attrition. And that meant that we were providing a good cleaning, because a lot of people make the mistake of just focusing on cleaning, which is great, right? We have to make sure that's the basic. I think that's where it starts, providing good cleaning. But then how do you provide a good service? Because as business owners, we have to understand that nobody's going to care for our business as much as we do, right? But how do we train our employees and get their buy-in to provide a good customer service, right? And we do that by teaching them, what is a good service? What does being friendly means? How do you handle a complaint the right way? Right? How to make sure that you're listening correctly to when a client is concerned or when a client is making a request. So all of that, think about it when people think of, when you bring up Chick-fil-A, whether you love or hate the chicken sandwich, you're not thinking about the sandwich, you're thinking about the service.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing. I want to steal their employees every time I go through their drive-through. But I don't, feel good about that, but I still want to do it.
Yeah. So we built our own, basically for our industry, for the home service industry, and we call it the Customer Service Essential 4. And that's training your employees how to write a good service. So we, instead of us calling it my pleasure is happy to help. When somebody says thank you, happy to help, because nothing drives me crazy when somebody says no problem, right? Because it's like,
me too.
Was there a problem?
Oh my God.
So
stop using the word no.
Yeah. So,
right? Yeah.
And if you use it, it's okay. But how do you get your team to be friendly? So we built that course so that a lot of times as business owners, we invest a lot in our learning, right? But we need to take it to another level. And as you grow, you got to teach the people in your company how to, what are the best practices to make you feel value, right? Because after COVID, people don't just care for a okay product or a good service. They want to feel, value. They want to feel like you understand them, you care for them. How to do it? Well, that's kind of what customer service is essential for.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that I'm hearing in both of these things that you've created and you're using in your company and it's helped you build your brand is we can really grow if we differentiate. And you are differentiating your business in big ways through the way that you take care of your team and the way that you teach them how to take care of your clients. So congratulations to you both in how you've grown. And I love your story about your personal journey because I think so many people, Emma, think that you came out of the womb a powerhouse entrepreneur, right? They think that you were just born and you knew how to do it. And so I love just that vulnerability of, you had to learn how to do it too, just like all of us. And so don't beat yourself up as an entrepreneur. Go out there and find a way, find somebody who's done it before you and learn from them. And so congratulations to you on that. So I'd love to hear kind of the end of your grime story. You mentioned, your mom a lot. So what's going on with your mom these days?
So my mom, I'm so glad you asked. Who doesn't like to talk about their mom, right? So,
right? Oh my gosh, yeah.
So my mom, she unfortunately she got cancer 5 years in the business, and she's good. She's a cancer. Could say that she's a cancer survivor, and we had to retire her from her business. And and that's one of the reasons why we joined cleaning for a reason, because one of her favorite days was when our technicians would go and clean. Thankfully for us, we already owned a cleaning company. So, because of health issues, she had to retire, right? And, she still lives off the business. We're blessed to that. And she's just basically, and I's assistant because she helps us with their kids. She's a grandma, basically.
Yeah, she gets to be a grandma. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where she's at. She's cheering us on, supporting us. And, we travel a lot for work because we're a big believer in, making sure that we're leaning into our community. So we're trying to be actively learning and actively being around our peers. So, and she's able to help us with that, right? Be there for our kids when we're not.
So she's still part of the story, still helping you make it happen, but she's getting to do the fun stuff, spending time with all of her grandkids. So that's so great. And you two have, I watch your life a little bit, on social media and things like that. And it just looks like, you're able to spend time with your families too, which a lot of people think entrepreneurship means, that you have to sacrifice greatly. And it doesn't have to be a grind if you have systems in place. And Emma, you have helped so many people create systems in their business. So thank you for the way that you take what you've learned and you're like pouring it into other people's lives. My business is benefiting from that as well. One of my team members is coaching with Emma and loves it. So, we're all grateful out here, but thank you for sharing your story today. I think it's going to be really inspiring to many people. And you mentioned many great things. So if you want to learn about any of the things that Emma mentioned today, just go to our show notes. We'll include links to everything we discussed today there for you. And Emma, I can't wait to talk to you a year from now and see how things have even progressed more, and can't wait to have Eno on True Grime Stories as well. But thank you for sharing your grime story with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was such a good way of just giving back to all the things that I've been able to learn and implement in my company and help me grow. So thank you. I'm a big believer that you are the 5 people you hang around with, and you're one of those 5 people. So thank you for being such a
thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. The power of community is so great. So thank you, everyone, for being part of today's True Grime Stories, and watch for our next episode where we'll bring you another grime scene and solve it. And we don't want you to be stuck in your grime story. So if you want to learn more, check out the show notes. Be sure to subscribe, share this with your friends, and we'd love your review. And we'll see you on the next episode of True Grime Stories. That's a wrap on today's True Grime Stories. Thanks for joining us in uncovering the secrets of cleaning business success. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and download, and check out our show notes for links and info from today's episode, and to learn more about our sponsor, Cleaning Business Fundamentals. Join us next time as we solve another True Grime story.